Most people are living in an emotional jail without recognizing it, especially when it comes to money. You're being held hostage by money wounds from multi generations, from society, from recent events, even in your life. And that's why this two-part series is so potent and so powerful. If you open your mind and you're willing to explore this stuff that is going to feel difficult, can even feel painful, can even trigger some wounding. But this is the key to let yourself out of that cage. And cleaning house is necessary in order to begin a new way of life, in order to begin a new financial story for yourself. And every day, instead of following your ego's will, you can take the cues given by your higher self, given by your higher power, and use them to stay connected to your most abundant path. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? This is your host, Tiffany Carter, and you are listening to the show that is going to help you grow your business, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your abundance, your relationships, and everything in between. Thank you so much to all my longtime loyal listeners, my new listeners, for making this a top 15 podcast worldwide. Hells to the yes, absolute proof on what happens for you when you do the work and you keep showing up until it happens. You keep showing up regardless. That doesn't mean in sacrifice of your well-being and sacrifice of your health. But most all people end up quitting in that middle discomfort, dirty diaper period, as I call it. And your success is guaranteed straight up if you don't. But you've got to be resilient. You've got to set things up and stack people around you, have coaches, invest stuff that costs money, stuff that doesn't cost money. You've got to create such a safe house for yourself in order to best support you so you continue to show up during the period where all the evidence is pointing that this isn't working, this isn't happening. I feel like I'm doing all the things and nothing is coming to me. I actually feel like I'm making less money than before, and I feel like I'm trying harder and I'm doing more and I've bought the things. You're wanting to get that validation, and I get it. You're wanting the sign, and then you get a sign, but you want another sign. I've been there. I was in that spiral, especially with my first business I started 16 years ago when I left corporate and I had a side hustle. I still have that business. It's an 8-figure business now. And then 4.5 to 5 years ago is when I started my true dream business, which you're listening to right now. And wow, this business I have done much easier, which is what I teach you guys. There's such a much easier, simpler way, which is why I have coming out my Work Less While Making More guided workbook course. Now, for those of you psychos who keep emailing us, where's the workbook? Where's the workbook? Because I had the big giveaway of doing the a 5-star written Apple podcast review, and you could get my guided workbook course for free in order to do that in exchange for what, like 30 seconds of your time. So we had a lot of people excited and doing that. And we still have people excited doing it. And if you missed that giveaway period, if you email us and ask us and you take that extra step, and we've had some people do it, listen, I can be a sucker. My coordinator, Nancy, knows this. And if you want something that bad and take that extra step, I will still honor it and give it to you. But you've got to be patient. It's coming. We didn't forget about you. It's okay that you're checking, because I like seeing how much you really want to make that change in your life. And so I appreciate it. I just want you to know, like, I turned it into an actual course where you're getting videos and audios in addition to a workbook. So it's taking more time because I don't slap anything together and give it to you guys. That's not how I teach. I don't want you doing that. This is why when you're seeing that marketing, and I know I'm on a little bit of a soapbox before we get into the episode, but I've got to say this. There's tons of content out there like, oh, you can just buy this course and then resell it and have the resale rights to it. Or you can just use AI and it creates a sales page for you, creates a book for you. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not saying there's not a place for some of this stuff, But if you're really looking to take that kind of a shortcut and that kind of an ease, and you're not wanting to put true heart and thought and energy into the physical products, the digital products, the services, the art that you're putting out, and to think you're going to get great abundance from it, you might hop on something and maybe have like a one-hit wonder. There's a shot there, but that's like you people who like look at winning the lottery as a solution. When your heart's not in it, energetically, people can feel it. The abundance comes easier when you have fewer products, fewer offers, fewer services, but with such great intention and such great joy and such great conviction and how it is going to help someone. So I felt that that message was really necessary before we get into part 2 today of could childhood trauma be causing your money drama? I really wanted to change that title to your childhood trauma is causing your money drama, but I softened it a touch because I know there are many of you listening going, well, I don't know if I really had trauma in my childhood. Like my childhood wasn't that bad. I mean, there was some shit, but it wasn't that bad. Listen, you can define it how you want. The word trauma does sound very strong, and it is natural for someone who grew up in a dysfunctional household where there was just all sorts of shit, different shit going on. It doesn't have to be like extreme lifetime story abuse like I went through, but it is common to minimize it. That's actually a sign. Whenever I hear someone going, well, I actually had a good childhood, there wasn't that much that happened, da, 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 da. I'm like, this smells like someone's like minimizing it. Very common, because who wants to believe that happened? Because if you believe that you had some toxic behavior, some toxic patterns, dysfunction, there was alcoholism, maybe a grandparent wasn't well, you had a sickly parent, there was infidelity, whatever, gambling issues, money crap, just really negative, limiting messaging, lots of gossiping, just stress in the household, you might not want to fully acknowledge it, because that would mean, one, you have to address and process the emotions behind it, and you wouldn't be able to stay behind the veil of denial that it wasn't that bad. But if you continue to stay in that it wasn't that bad, you are going to continue to see all this play out in the money stuff, because what we resist persists, what we resist exploring, what we resist leaning into. And this doesn't mean you have to like open Pandora's box and be re-traumatized. But what you do need to do is take a gentle and loving exploration, non-judgmental even exploration of what went on in the messaging of your childhood, and acknowledge that how this has contributed into your belief system, into your thoughts, into your behaviors, into your habits and patterns of how it affects you today. And you can also choose not to do it, but my guess is you're listening to this because you are so fucking sick of not knowing what the hell is blocking you from having the success you want, from having the lifestyle changing cash you want, from being able to delight in what you actually do in your vocation to make money, instead of feeling like you're drudging along. It's Groundhog's Day. You're exhausted, you're burnt out and miserable, and you want to be able to enjoy what you're doing and highly profit off it. And it's there for you. Now, the old me, if I was listening to this, would have been like, I don't know. And I would have come up with a story about whoever I heard it from. Oh, well, she probably had a great childhood, or easy for her to say because she's white, or I would have come up with some shit. And that's your first thing to unpack, is why would you choose to not believe that it's possible for you to have cash abundance, the lifestyle, the joy, the delight, and the ease, and the simplicity and the happiness in your life? Why would you be choosing that's not possible for you. You see it, there's evidence of possible for other people. But why would you resist believing it's possible for you? Because that doesn't cost you anything. It's costing you a lot more to be thinking and focusing on how it isn't possible for you. Because whatever we focus on grows, whatever we focus on manifests, whatever we focus on, we end up seeing confirming evidence of, because our subconscious mind is also scanning for it and collecting it. So first order of business before I get into the 4, 5, and 6 signs childhood trauma is causing your money drama. And it's okay if you listen to these episodes out of order, but do make sure you listen to part 1, which is the last episode where I cover signs 1, 2, and 3. And there's more signs than this. But like I said in episode 1, this stuff can be mentally heavy to process. And I don't want to give too much and you get weighed down and spin out, because I know you guys are deep thinkers, deep feelers, my fellow over analyzers, and we don't need to defeat the whole purpose of this. The purpose of this is for you to get into a state of, I am open and willing to acknowledge, admit, and accept things that have happened that were, that I caused, that I didn't cause in my life up until this point, and take a look at them and explore them in order to then step forward into healing them and shifting them, because all of this can be healed. I'm living proof. I've worked with over 150,000 people worldwide. I've helped so many people shift. I just had a client. I should pull this up. I really should have been more prepared for this episode, but I'm not as highly caffeinated as I would like to be. One of my private clients, she sent me a beautiful text yesterday, and it's incredible. She writes, "Holy fuck, I have made $45,000 this month. I was at 8 to 10K a month as my highest. It wasn't consistent when we started. I'm crying. I love you. Thank you so much." And then she wrote, "I'm in shock and also so fucking proud I went all in and chose you. If I didn't, I would be in a cocoon or back in the hospital wondering what's wrong with me. LOL." A lot of my clients, we have like 6 senses of humor. If you haven't gathered, whether you are someone who follows me on TikTok at Project Me with Tiffany, Instagram, same handle, and here, you will quickly gather that I use, that's an interesting way to say that. I use humor to lighten things up, because we get to heal, we get to proceed, we get to grow, we get to let go of things, and we get to do it while we're still laughing and having joy. I really do believe that's the best medicine. And if we can't kind of laugh at ourselves and our craziness and the nonsense of the world, it becomes far too heavy and weighs us down. And someone like myself who is diagnosed with major depressive disorder and complex PTSD, there's nothing better than laughter, even if it's like sarcastic, dark humor, whatever it is. There's nothing better than to lift you into a higher vibration, even on the worst day. And I hope I can do that for you when you're listening and absorbing any of my content. Now, I have opened my fall applications for my exclusive 2-month private business coaching program. This is the absolute highest level way to work with me. This is where we work together for 8 weeks, weekly sessions. You get actual direct access to me via my cell phone, not a third-party app, which, by the way, like, no coaches do that. Like, that's not normal, and you're not required to do that with your people, but that's something that I choose to do with me, because I go all in with you, which is why I do have it by application only. I'm not interested in just taking your money. I have this priced at an incredible, fair and reasonable price. This is not a low ticket item. Okay. You're going to invest north of $12,000 over the course of that 2 months. And I am going to be raising my prices in 2024, not to some wildness. Most people who are at my level either don't offer any private coaching at all, or it's $100,000. And I'm not exaggerating. I always love when someone goes, why do you still take private clients? Like when you don't have to, like it's a bad thing. Like, well, A, I'm more discerning. B, I only take a few people at a time. And C, I make sure I charge my worth. Like Tony Robbins takes private clients. It's $1 million a year, right? Like Beyonce would go do a private concert for like an oil error in Dubai if you pay the right price. It's just the price to get that level of intellectual property and proven results from me, you're going to pay for it. But if you're at that point where you've already fucked around and dabbled enough in this group program and this course and trying to reverse engineer what other people do in your industry and YouTubing stuff, and there's nothing wrong with doing that to a certain point. But if you're in this section of time where you're like, wow, I've wasted years and months of energy, time, effort, and even money trying to figure this out on my own, trying to piecemeal this versus going for the holy grail and having it customized, having it mapped out, having very clear action, having a system created to attract ideal clients to you and converting them to buying from you on repeat around the clock in a way that feels good to you, having a proven profitable content plan. And I don't just mean social media, I'm referring to emails, I'm referring to web copy, learning how to leverage video marketing to grow your business. This is for product-based businesses, service-based businesses, brick and mortar businesses. I work with all of it. It's the same application for two different levels. So I work with people who are starting from scratch up to making $10,000 a month. I call you guys my new entrepreneurs because I just base it off revenue. And that program, that 2-month program is designed to get you, I would say, to a max of about $25,000 to $27,000 a month. Everything I teach you in there is designed to get you that. All right. And then I have my higher level program for established entrepreneurs. And it's for those of you who have already have businesses that are making cash. You know, you're in the hundreds of thousands, you're wanting to go to the high 6 figures, multiple 7 figures, and you're losing your mind because you don't have any more of you to give. You know, there has to be a simpler, more streamlined way. And you know that there's the potential and possibility for this to be a multi-million-dollar business, but you need someone to like point out the way to you or point out the options to you because you're not able to see it because you're too close to it. You know, I always say when you're standing in the picture frame, you can't see the whole picture. This is why I have 2 to 3 coaches at all times. You can DM me on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany to get the application. So you know you applying is not where to get questions asked about the program. Only apply if you're like, I'm doing this. And I'm applying just to make absolutely sure that Tiffany feels this is a great fit and that as long as I'm fully showing up, I'm going to get the return on investment that I'm hoping for, knowing I'm going to do the work. Don't do a look-see-loo. It's disrespectful, okay? Because it takes away the very few application call spots there are from people who are like, dead set, I'm doing this, take my money, here's my credit card, boom, bang, done. If you're not at that level yet, that's okay. That's why I also have my Project Me Posse business coaching membership. And that could be a starting point for you as well. Let's get into these things. I feel like I need to have a sip of coffee first. So let's do this. And I like showing my mug where I need to replace my vinyl sticker on my mug. 0 fucks given. God, I haven't done that in a while. Okay. Number 4 for the 6 childhood trauma signs that are causing your money drama. You often feel confused, not knowing where to start. The analysis paralysis insanity loop is what I call it. This is where I was at when I was so terrified to let go of my corporate career in the pharmaceutical world, my the coveted 6 figures with benefits in the corporate world that are the golden handcuffs. Now I make that in a week, but I working part-time but I was working 70 hours a week before, and that was the holy grail. And I should have just been grateful to have that. Ugh. Anyway, I was in that so deeply in that analysis paralysis loop. It's like the what if, and what if I do this and this doesn't work, and when should I leave, and how should I leave, and how am I going to get benefits, and how, what if I run out of the list of like potential clients I can go to, and the warm leads I have, and then what I'm going to do, da, 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 da. And when should I leave? Should I leave now? Should I leave after the holidays? Should I wait for my bonus? It's coming out of a space of fear, but how it's tied to your childhood is you likely are very hyper vigilant in this space. You might not use that word to describe yourself, but you're someone who picks up on nuances in a room. You know where everyone is in the room. You scan a room. You can sense people's energy shifts. You can sense when someone is zoning out. You can sense when a stranger's in a bad mood. You can sense when someone close to you, something is off, and you ask them what's wrong, and they say nothing, and you know they're full of shit. And you're like, I'm going to have to let that go, but I know they're not telling the truth. You did this as a survival skill to scan your environment in order to maintain safe. This doesn't mean that you got the shit necessarily beat out of you in childhood. Maybe you did, but you could have had an alcoholic parent. You could have had a parent who was bipolar or just very moody, a highly stressed parent, a parent's going through some kind of a divorce or a family crisis. And you had to pick and choose your times when to ask for what you needed, when to approach them. This could all be picked up from other significant relationships in your childhood. You could have had a parent who was also very hyper vigilant, almost like a nervous Nelly type parent or a helicopter parent, and you picked up on this. And being in a state of confusion is also a way to never be wrong. And if you never want to be wrong, then how do you never be wrong? You never pick a side. You never pick an answer. You defer it to someone else. You're always polling people. I used to do this. I the friend group I would poll. Should I go on a date with the guy? Should I break up with him? Should I say this to my boss? Should I ask for the raise? Should I start a business? Should I leave? Like, versus leaning on my higher self. I didn't even know how to do that, let alone to the universe, to God. Like, that sounded whack to me. I didn't feel I knew best. I didn't fully trust myself because I was taught not to trust myself by being raised by a narcissist, and also not getting that much feedback or confirmation back that I could trust myself growing up. So I didn't want to be wrong because being wrong meant bad things would happen. I feared it so much. So it was better if someone picked it for me, or it took me so much polling, so much analysis, so many pros and cons lists to make a decision. I had to damn near have it be a guarantee in order for me to do it. And we expend so much energy doing it that way. I notice people do that when they're looking to work with me, buy one of my programs, invest in learning from me. Oh my God, but should I do this? I've already spent money on this other thing and it didn't work out. And what if it doesn't work out? And I know I want to do this. I know I need this. I do trust Tiffany. I do feel safe with her. She does have the receipts. But what if I can't follow through and there's other things I've not fallen through on? And is this the right time? And my kids are so busy in school, and should I be doing this? And who do I think I am to do this anyway? Is this resonating? Am I in your head right now? You're like, oh my God. I know, because I'm crazy. I know because what goes on in my brain, the difference is I have had years of work of managing this. This is why I'm telling you it is possible. It is here for you, but this has to be managed on a daily basis for you to have what you want. And it is absolutely worth it. And it gets easier and easier over time. Initially, though, it does take more discipline and can feel hard just because it's different. But the payoff is giant. It comes from fear. Ask yourself the question. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, Project Me TV on YouTube, you can put it right in the comments and answer the questions in real time. If you're someone who's easily distracted or a fellow procrastinator who knows you're not going to address this stuff later, ask yourself, what am I afraid? What am I afraid will happen if I make the wrong decision here? And where do you think you pick that up from in childhood about making a wrong decision? What did it cost you in childhood? Did you get like teased if you did that? Did you have a nasty teacher in school? Did you lose praise? What happened? Because there is a reason that you're not fully trusting yourself. And I understand it can be very traumatic when we make poor decisions. I've hired employees who've stolen from me. I've invested in coaches who were full of shit that I did not see were full of shit. I've let people into my heart who were so fucking toxic. I mean, I've made all the poor decisions. You're going to make poor decisions. That's inevitable. It's part of life and it's certainly part of business. And when you make those painful, poor decisions, the likelihood you're going to make them again is very slim to none. And maybe you do make them again because you needed to have that cemented in. But all that matters is that your other decisions that you make outweigh the poor decisions. Even the most conventionally smartest people in the world make mistakes. And any highly successful person, any multimillionaire, billionaire, you go to Warren Buffett, you go to me, you go to Oprah, whomever, they will all tell you, oh my God, I've made so many mistakes. That's part of it. You have to be willing to make the mistakes. You're going to be safe. It's going to be okay anyway. And that doesn't mean you're not taking a calculated risk. Everything is a risk. But you know what the real risk is? The real risk is, if we're using an example of working with me, the real risk is you not doing it, you not taking the action. How much is that going to cost you? What's your life going to look like in 2024 if you continue to resist making a boss move? Would you rather end the year knowing, oh my God, this is happening? I've done this. Client of mine, Jessica, shout out Jessica. She's, I'm sure, listening. She invested in my private coaching. She invested in my mastermind event. Her highest month was $8,000 to $10,000 for her highest month that wasn't consistent. And literally in a 9 to 10 week period, she's at $45,000 a month. And she has little kids at home. This is not someone who's sitting with like all the time in the world. She has a physical business and a digital business. This is someone who also manages like quite a few food intolerances that are pretty severe. She's got a lot of stuff. Okay. She's whack too. And she shares about it publicly. I'm not outing her. She's whack in the brain. I love working with you guys who are fucking nuts. It's so enjoyable and hysterical to me in a loving way, because very quickly you realize, oh my God, I'm not like alone here and being nuts. Tiffany's just as nuts as me. That's why I'm so good at coaching you guys. But do you want to leave that out? And it's not just the money, it's the freedom that gives, it's the empowerment. It's the, oh my God, look at this life that I can create, teaching my gifts, teaching my skills, teaching my passions, helping people, and how I pay that forward, the experiences I get to have with my family, the stuff that your kids get to watch you do and succeed and thrive and being a creative and doing what you love. Ask yourself that question. All right, let's go to number 5. Overworking and under earning. This was a big one for me. I became a workaholic, and there's an actual 12-step program for that. That is a true addiction. It can sound silly. I would say it's probably not as destructive as being addicted to, let's say, cocaine, but it still is an addiction that truly I went to end my life over. That combined with exercise addiction. No joke. Like, I'm in a recovery program for this stuff. We're trying to prove something. We're trying to prove our worth. See, mama, see, I'm good enough. See, I'm good. Look what I did, mama. I got the A. Oh, I also cleaned my room, mommy. Oh, I also ate my carrots. See, mama, I cleaned up the dog poop. I'm imitating my own inner child because that's how it felt growing up. Wanting to be seen, wanting to be acknowledged, wanting to be loved, where a parent was, and I'm not even blaming some of these parents. Some of them I am, believe me. But a lot of them were just doing the best they could with what they knew. And it's generational trauma that was being passed down and they didn't know any better. They're working 3 fucking jobs. Maybe there were 6, 7 kids in the household. And to get any attention, high performance had to occur. You had to do a lot of things. I started working at the age of 8 years old. I was put to work, which, I mean, yes, it also helped shape my discipline and who I am today, but that also was not healthy. It's trying to prove something, and it ties to the belief of the more I work, the more I perform, the more I do, then I will be able to get. But then you're giving so much for scraps, and that ties to childhood. You had to do so much, be so much, give so much, and then you got little scraps of love, little baby carrots of this, baby carrots of that. And that felt like everything to get it. And you're so conditioned where I do all this and I get a little sprinkling. Even the corporate world plays this game. Okay. Even truthfully, those of you in affiliate network marketing, a lot of the companies mimic that same game. And I think there is an unknown psychological component behind the scenes of it. You sell millions of this. We give you boop, you get this. You've got to do this, this, and this. You get boop, boop, boop. In corporate, I work 70 hours a week in corporate, volunteering, always doing the medical conferences, going here, making more calls, doing more stuff, doing more projects, more and more and more. And yeah, would I get like a bonus? Would I get like an award or like a trip or some shit? Yeah, but it was when you really broke it down to dollars and cents, it was scraps in exchange for my efforts, which mimicked my childhood. Where in your childhood did you feel that you had to overwork, overbe, overdo, overdeliver in order to get some semblance of attention, of love, of recognition of something? And then I want you to connect the dots of how that looks in your adult life, in your relationships, in your friendships, in your work environment, in your business. And it will feel the whole premise of me doing this guided workbook course, which is going to be a hardcore shooketh moment for you, is the premise of we work less and make more, and showing you how to do that and how to set up your nervous system and your mindset for doing that, and truly how that works. It's going to feel so safe, unsafe, and scary to do it because it's the opposite of what you've been doing. It might even make you go, well, I can't end up just like living on in a tent somewhere, Tiffany. I can't just lose everything, because you're doing the black and white thinking, which is also, by the way, a trauma response of, oh my God, well, I can't just do nothing and sit on the couch. I've never said you're going to sit on the couch and do nothing. I said working less and making more. I never said not working and being an entitled asshole and just give it to me. That doesn't work either. That's not approved by me. But overworking never equals over earning. Overworking will always yield under earning. It's because of the energetic state that comes in, because you're overworking out of a space of fear, out of a space of low self-worth, out of a space of lack, out of a space of trying to prove yourself that you're enough. And that repels the abundance. When you work less, when you work with intention, with prioritizing your health and your well-being and your happiness, that's putting you in the abundance zone. And therefore the abundance can be allowed in and it can occur. Otherwise, the overworking is snuffing out all of the portals to let the abundance in, because you end up so depleted and exhausted and at such a low vibrational state that you're operating on a broke down, janky AM radio when all the abundance is sitting not even in FM land. It's on satellite radio, sweetie. It's right there for you. All right, number 6. And if you're loving this, take a screenshot, share this episode on social media, and tag me at Project Me with Tiffany. I would really appreciate a written review. If you want more reviews and testimonials and shout outs for the work you do and for your business, then you got to check yourself and see, when was the last time I showed my appreciation to someone or something that really is giving great quality, that is bringing value to my life. You can tap 5 stars on Spotify. Right now, the only platform that you can leave an actual written review on is Apple Podcasts. If you don't know how to leave a written review there, because they don't make it obvious, thank you, Apple, you can Google it and the visuals will be right there. Last one is, you have guilt and or anxiety when discussing money. You're weird about talking about it when someone else is talking about it, when you're consuming content like my content. When I'm talking about it, you might even get triggered by it. When you see someone have something that you want or a lifestyle that you want, whether it's freedom of time, they're able to have the cash flow and the lifestyle to travel the world. They're able to buy what they want to buy. They're able to, like I do Luxuriation Fridays, where I do teach in my posse membership on most Fridays, but like that's so delightful. And I show up in there, but the rest of the day is all chilling. So I genuinely do practice the 4-day work week. And I work between, I would say, 30 hours a week to 35. It depends if I have like a new project or a new thing I'm working on. So I work part-time and I run 2 businesses. One's an 8-figure business, one's a 7-figure business. And I'm an investor in quite a few businesses. Why? Because I have mastered how to work less and make more, because I work with intention. We focus on income and joy generating activities, and we let go of the rest. Most of the shit that we do on any given day, especially when it comes to generating money for our business, it's unnecessary or it's not worth the exchange. We think it's worth it because we can take in propaganda and we can take in shit from all the content you consume. And it's not really a fair exchange. It's just not worth it. It's like there's a coffee shop by me that is so egregious and their coffee is just okay. But it's like for 6 ounces of a matcha latte, they want something crazy like $13. Not a fair energy exchange for me, because money's energy, right? Like that's not a fair exchange. I don't care how rich I am. You're not getting $13 of mine for this unless that matcha latte was like, holy shit, I've never had anything better. And it's not. And many of you are doing that with actual like energy expenditures and tasks in your life and your business, where you're exchanging this energy. Like if you put a dollar amount on the energy you give someone in your personal life or professional life, would you really spend that money to get like a so-so product back? Like in using that coffee analogy of mine, you'll start doing things differently. So the guilt and anxiety when discussing money, there's some sort of programming you have, and it might even be subconscious. You might have just absorbed it. You could have even absorbed it through the womb, because our, traumas can be passed down through our cells. It's a medical fact. And it could have just been absorbed in the vibe of your family, where your parent got super stressed and anxious when there was still a week to go before payday, or during tax time or bill time, or when someone in your family or a family friend was doing really well, and their response to that and their mood change and these nuances. You absorbed all this. Kids are like sponges. You picked all of this up in your cells, and if left unaddressed, you just have a bunch of shit that's floating around in there that we've got to clean up. We've got to like Picture it like being like these little magnetic particles that are all floating inside of you. And we've got to take a giant magnet externally and bring them to the surface so that we can get all that debris to the surface and then clean them out. That's simply what we're doing here. So take a look at the money stuff. There is a tie that you're having with money, like money is stressful. This could be stressful, but it's not yours. You inherited the stressors, the guilt, the shit around money from someone growing up. It could even be from a significant person in your life. Maybe it's like an ex-husband, an ex-wife. It could be from a sibling. You've picked this up. I want you to take a deeper look at what is the stressor around discussing money? Why is this making me so uncomfortable? Why am I uncomfortable, scared, nervous, awkward around taking in information around money, hearing about money, discussing money, looking at my bank account, looking at my taxes? What are you afraid of? We need to bring this spooky ghost out into the open because then it loses its power. What are you afraid of? Because we have to address it in order to release it. Even if it's shit, even if you're like, oh my God, I didn't know I was in this much debt. Oh my God, I didn't know I had all these back taxes. Oh my God, da 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 da. The power it's holding by you ignoring it, by you avoiding it, is what is repelling further opportunities from you making money and correcting this stuff. It starts with you taking a look and setting yourself up of, okay, this is going to be scary. I'm going to make sure I have a support system in place. I'm going to look at this without judgment. I'm going to do this adulting activity and it'll be okay. And I'll deal with what the truth is here so that we can move forward. Or you can choose not to and continue to stay stuck. And I know you don't want that. Some of this stuff, I'm sure, has your head spinning. It might even have your nervous system going. And please do this without shaming yourself. So much of how we've acted and what we've not acted on and what we avoid and what we do and all of this stuff, we've picked this up. No one would purposely choose to do this to themselves. We've picked it up and it's time we're going to put it down, and it's okay. But I know that you're at a point where you really want to look at it and you really want to release it because you're tired of it. And you could be someone who makes a lot of money and is tired of it. I don't give a shit when someone says, I'm making this much money. How much do you have in the bank? How much time freedom do you have? How much joy do you have in your life? I can ask these questions because I was someone who made a lot of money and I was bankrupt emotionally, physically, mentally. I wasn't financially bankrupt, but that's not what we're after here. That's not living a wealthy life. That's not what Project Me is about. Project Me is about you being the most exceptional project of your life and doing what's necessary to make that happen. And it gets to be simple. It gets to be easy. And in fact, the less you care, so to speak, the more beautiful it gets. And the more you lean into this, the easier it gets. And I'm so happy you're here. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you.